Hey there, and thanks for watching this DDL LEGO review. Today we're going to take a look at set number 75322, which is the Hoth AT-ST, or All-Terrain Scout Transport. I still say AT-ST or AT-AT or whatever, but you can call it whatever you want. It was released in early 2022 and is yet another entry into the AT-ST line. Now the new AT-ST comes in at about 528 pieces and 3.5 minifigures, kind of depending on how you classify the probe droid. The retail price comes in at $49.99 and features 2 new parts or colorizations and some nice new takes on existing figures. Now with all that said, let's take a look at those figures. All right, so first up we have what I affectionately call Snowbaka. It kind of looks like it is actually the same print and coloring as the previous Chewbacca's we've had for multiple sets. It's basically just with some random white dots that it's probably pretty hard to even see in this video. They're really not that noticeable. I kind of call them dandruff Baka at this point. The footprinting is nice. It adds something new to an already tried and true mold. I mean, it's Chewbacca. He looks great, and there's not much else to fix. Now, the snow only appears on the front of the head, however, not on the back, but it is on the back of the torso. So you may be able to see a little bit better what those dots look like. At least he keeps his bowcaster and even the same mechanism that's kind of being phased out of LEGO sets, but I mean, overall, there's not much else to say. It's Chewie with some white dots. It's okay. All right, now let's talk Hoth Rebel Trooper. Now it's using the same new darker tan torso, which I actually like a lot, from the Defensive Hoth set. Comes with goggles, the helmet, everything looks really nice. The color tones I think are great on the torso and the headpiece. Everything looks good. It has a dual face head, so we can turn her around here. You can see some of the other side there. So I think all that's done really nicely. You have the backpack and everything. I think overall it's a nice, semi-updated Hoth print. I think 2/3 of this figure are great, honestly. My main complaint is the legs. You spend all this time trying to update the figure, give it a nice balance, nice colors, all these things like that. Why don't you give it nicely printed legs like the other figures in the Defensive Hoth set? But no, you leave these as that monochrome white. I don't think it's necessary. I think they should have gone a little bit above and beyond. It feels unfinished, almost like the Lego printer just kind of like stopped after the torso. And that's what they ended up with. I know it's a minor issue, but we're looking at minifigures here, and especially for minifigure collectors, it really doesn't hold up as well next to the other new Hoth prints with the plain legs. She's armed with a standard blaster. At least they're not stud shooters, so you have that going for her. So 2/3 of a great figure. All right, let's talk about probably my favorite figure of the whole set. I probably would buy the set just for this figure, and it's the driver. Over time, we've gotten hordes and hordes of light bluish gray drivers, and that's what they were wearing in Return of the Jedi. But now we finally have the driver in Hoth attire. Now, we didn't really see inside the AT-ST in episode 5 or anything else like that, but they revamped this figure and kind of used their imaginations a little bit, and I love it. So, first of all, everything about the figure is new. You have a new torso print, helmet print, leg print, all of this stuff like that. It looks really, really good. I love the printed goggles on the top. The chin strap completes the effect. Now, I know they've had printed goggles and chin strap before, but really this, I think, really creates such a better look. You have the sun glare on the goggles. It just looks great. I know that they only created this figure just to reinforce the fact this is a Hoth vehicle, but it was past time to revamp the driver figure, and they did a great job. The jacket, belt, printed legs, they all match up well. I don't think the colors quite match. The pants, the gloves, and the helmet are all a little bit different. I guess obviously that was intentional. I don't know if I quite love it, but might just be a little too picky with that one. But all in all, I think it's a great take on this set. Let's take a look at the back of the head here. Here we can see our buddy with the dual face print and a little bit of work on the back of the jacket there. I think the jacket itself looks really good, and we have our belt with 1,000 pouches and binoculars and a small blaster. What a great figure. Okay, last but not least, we have the probe droid. the Probe Droid, it's a nice change of pace, honestly. They totally recolored it. Now, it went from black to dark bluish gray, but still, it's different. I have a legion of black Probe Droids. This one's different. And it actually is a nice relation to its older brother, that nice UCS plaque Probe Droid that came out, which looks amazing in a dark bluish gray as well. So this actually pairs with that really well, and I guess maybe the new direction that LEGO's going with the Hoth material. It features a new color for the 1x1 round bar handle. That comes in black now that we have on this. And you can see they just went out of their way to create almost like 2 levels of this droid with all kinds of different greebling and effects to it. It really looks like a lot of care was put into it to make it actually look like it was a functioning droid and not just something that's kind of an after effect. You can see down here, here's the new black piece. But overall, I think for this such a small piece that, or small figure that it is, they did a great job. It looks really good, matches well with the other one. Nice work. Okay, so now that we covered the figures, let's actually unpack the AT-ST itself. First of all, while we've been bombarded with countless AT-STs, starting with Chewie's Immortal 2001 version, which I still love actually, and I can't forget the infamous Headless 75201. I probably should do a comparison video eventually, even though I haven't been able to bring myself to buy an incomplete vehicle, but maybe someday. But what's great and different about this set is the movie it represents. Now, most AT-STs we see that are pictured and are models come from Return of the Jedi, Episode 6, which makes sense because that's when you see them in action mostly. That's when they're attacking the bunker and the Ewoks get after them, all that good stuff. However, this design, which sets it apart from the other ones, is actually from The Empire Strikes Back, which I believe is on screen in the original, not Lucas's remastered version with all the other digital effects unnecessarily put in. Was maybe for 2 quick background shots in the entire movie. But it does exist, and LEGO is paying homage to that, and here we see the AT-ST in all its Hoth glory. Now, this version is a little bit different in some ways from its cousins, and I think LEGO did a nice job of highlighting some of that, whether it be the shape of the cockpit, or the length of the legs, or the overall height of the model. It just looks a little different, but it's unmistakably an AT-ST for sure. Now, the legs are not really changed too much from other models, and like those, there's kind of a limited amount of articulation you can actually do. The feet don't actually move, and this is about what you're getting out of the legs. Now, you could try and do some walking poses, and those of you who like to do some stop motion, maybe you could try something with that, but not a whole lot that you're going to get out of it. And once again, not the best at balancing if you do try to move the legs around a little bit. I would say though, the cockpit is a really nice shape, and it creates these angles with these the different wedge plates that they used that actually made for a very nice look to this model. There's a few gaps here and here in the model, but I'm more than okay with those gaps. I think they're totally acceptable and help to make a really nice fit altogether. There's a hatch right here, and we can go ahead and open that up, kind of throw back a little bit to some of the other models. And we have handles on here on either side. Someone could climb into the hatch, I should say. There's some vents here and some other ideas like that. And the inside itself, it does open up to get a minifigure in there. It's fairly basic cockpit. It comes with one heads-up display. Kind of see in there a little bit. You can get one minifigure in there. There's a clip to be able to put like an accessory or something like that you might want to have for the pilot, but it's not overly complicated inside there because I think you'd have to totally change proportions otherwise, and I'm kind of glad LEGO decided not to do that because I think we ended up with a nice looking vehicle regardless. Now, I do have to say this little beast is packed with weapons. I mean, there's multiple laser cannons, grenade launchers, 2 nicely hidden spring missiles. So let's actually bring that. You can see this spring missiles right here, kind of like you see on like the old TIE fighters. Now, if you turn this around, you can see Once again, we have our vents right here, and then here's our mechanisms, which I think actually don't stand out as much as stud shooters. I think they kind of sort of look like some of the greebling that's on the back of the vehicle. So as we turn this around, let's go ahead and fire one of these and lose it forever. Maybe? We're gonna fire? This is embarrassing. There we go. All right, so you can kind of see the mechanism working as Lego gets stud shooters basically on every vehicle now. But I think they did a nice job of incorporating that one. One more thing I noticed on this were the feet. The feet interest me a little bit because they are really, really solid. They even have like little blades on here or something like that to cut into other things. But there are several stacked plates on here. I wish they might move a little bit more, but maybe it does help with balance. There's a little bit of greebling on here. So overall, I think they did a really nice job on the feet and didn't neglect it like sometimes it is in other sets, or just using a sticker to try and make it look like there's something going on there. And another great thing about this set, by the way, no stickers. So we can all take a little sigh of relief that we don't have to try and figure out anything to do with the stickers. So I'm a fan. I like it. I like the way they did it. They have a little bit of greebling underneath the head here. You can see in here they have like a paint roller and a couple other things like that to try and add some detail. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the UCS AT-AT with the hoses and everything. But yeah, they did a little bit of everything and packed it into a pretty small model. And I think it comes across really nicely. All right, so overall, taking into account once again my completely arbitrary categories, let's sum up the AT-ST in 4 segments. Cost. Honestly, I'm actually okay with the cost of the AT-ST this time. Usually I cannot stand Lego pricing, and they just announced a big price hike, and Barnes & Noble did a little sneak peek about what some of those prices are, and wow, they are getting up there. But the AT-ST actually, I think, is decent value. It's the same price as the AT-ST Raider was 3 years ago. It has new molds for figures. I think it's only like $10 more than that abomination first order half AT-ST, whatever the heck that was. I usually don't like Lego's pricing, but I'll give this 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Now, moving on to display. I really like the look of this AT-ST. I don't even mind that the window covers, they don't open as they do in most other minifigure size AT-ST. I think it just has a really nice, sleek, and also menacing look at the same time. It looks better than most of the other AT-STs on the shelf, and I think would look amazing in a Hoth diorama alongside the UCS AT-AT. Honestly, 5 out of 5 stars for me on this one. Now the minifigures. Powdered sugar Chewbacca aside, I like the new Hoth torso mold, and I love the driver. It's such a great change with that whole figure. I mean, I'm still a little bummed at the missed opportunity with the legs on the trooper. I know I should get over that, but it's just so plain. And wish that the Chewbacca snow design was maybe a little bit more clever than just throwing some white dots that don't really show up very well on at least my minifigure. All said, though, you can't ignore brand new molds, and the driver is reimagined and looks amazing. The probe droid looks great. So honestly, I'm gonna give it 4.5 out of 5 stars for the minifigures. So overall, I'm giving this set 5 out of 5 stars. I really like the design of the AT-ST and the love Lego gave to the Hoth version. I mean, everything we always saw was Ewok, Ewok, Ewok. Now we actually have one, granted, showed up twice in episode 5. The figures are great, even with a few minor issues, and it really looks good on the shelf, or even next to its bigger counterparts, like I said, the AT-AT and others. I think it's a great addition to this line of AT-ST and Imperial Forces, and I actually really like this one, probably more than any of the other AT-STs, except maybe the old UCS model, which still really stands up well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below, subscribe to see more videos, and have an awesome day.